Hello guys, welcome to another video tutorial by No Code Africa. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to build an e-commerce mobile application without writing codes using FlutterFlow. So we already had the very first part of this same course, but it was purely the front-end part. And this particular side, we will be focusing on the back-end development of this application. So let's jump right into it and get it started. Okay, so let's say you've also been able to replicate what I have done by checking the very first part of this course, right? Let's say you have completed all the screens here just like I did. We can just go ahead and take a look at the screens that are available for this project. So these are the screens. I can just quickly minimize, and we can use these arrows, these arrows, to just move from one screen to the other. And before we even proceed, if at all you want to share the front end of this project, like let's say you've done yours and you want to share the front end of your application with somebody else, you can just go ahead and click on share here. When you click on it, it makes the project public, and then you can copy the public link and share it with anybody. The person can now go ahead and also see all these designs like this. Okay, so this is one of the ways you can share your project with anybody else. So I will just click here to make it private because I'm not going to be sharing it anywhere else. So the next thing that we need to do, I just wanted us to walk through what had been designed already. So here in this part, we are going to be focusing on the back end, not the front end. We had already worked on the front end. So now this is our application in FlutterFlow, all right? And what you have to do first, the very first thing you need to do when you want to start your backend, is to connect your FlutterFlow project to a Firebase project. Now, for you to connect your FlutterFlow project to a Firebase project, it simply means that you need to have a Firebase project, right? And what is Firebase? So Firebase is the part of this application, right, that will be handling authentication and storage and a couple of other things, right? So but for this particular class, we're going to just be focusing on authentication and storage. Okay, so every single thing the user will be doing, when the user comes to create an account, for instance, puts in their details here, first name, last name, email address, and password, and clicks to continue, it is going to go into Firebase to save it there. All right, the password will be encrypted, of course, but every other detail will just be passed into the Firebase platform. And then when the user wants to go ahead and sign in, it will now use the information that was previously stored in Firebase to authenticate the user into the application. Okay, so now that we have gotten away from that, where can we find Firebase? So you can just go to firebase.google.com. all right, you can just go to firebase.google.com. Let me just go back to how it was. So you will see here firebase.google.com like this. I believe that you already signed into your Gmail account, and so you need to have signed into your Gmail account, and then you will have access to these. The next thing you need to do is just click on go to console, and when you click go to console, it will take you here. And if you've not had any Firebase projects, like for this particular email account, I don't have any Firebase projects, so I can just click get started with a Firebase project. I will click here and then give my project a name. Well, the project is already called Plot, and I will go ahead and click to accept the Firebase terms, and I will also confirm that I will use Firebase exclusively for purposes relating to my trade, business, craft, or profession. This is very important. Then I will click on continue, and this is for Google Analytics. We won't be using it in this project, so we'll turn it off, and we will click create project. We'll wait for a couple of seconds, and then our Firebase project would have been created. Now, after the Firebase project has been created, how do we use it? How do we connect the two of them, the Firebase project and the FlutterFlow project? This is our FlutterFlow project. How we're going to connect it is by coming here to settings, and then here in settings you will see Firebase. And so here You would have also used this particular part in your FlutterFlow dashboard to create the Firebase project, but we didn't want to go through that route. Now we are going through the route where we go to Firebase itself and then create the project. So when you open the Firebase project, for you to connect it, all right, you need to put the Firebase project ID, and then from there you can connect them. So let's go ahead and click to continue. It's going to take us to our Firebase dashboard. This is our Firebase dashboard for our product, and we are currently in the Spark plan. If you click on it, you will see that you can actually switch from Spark to Blaze. All right, Blaze is has a lot of features that we will need at some point, okay, especially when we want to connect the payment gateway, because it requires cloud function, so we'll need to use Blaze plan. When we get there, we'll cross the bridge. Okay, so I'll close this, and the first thing we need to do is click on this to go to project settings, and here you can just copy the project ID. This is the project ID that you need to put back here in FlutterFlow, and then click on connect. Now we're going to run into an error. Okay, it says here project ID must be alphanumeric and hyphen. So I think the reason is because there was a space here at the beginning, so I'm just going to click to remove it. All right, then I can click to connect. It will give me another error. FlutterFlow does not have access to this Firebase account. Please add Firebase at flutterflow.io as an editor to this project. Now that simply means that we need to give permission to Firebase so that they can manipulate what we have in FlutterFlow. So here we're going to go ahead and click on users and permissions, and I'm going to click here to add a member, and I'm going to say Firebase. All right, so Firebase at flutterflow.io. Then I will click here and say editor. All right, then I click on done, and I click on add member. Now when I do this, I have successfully added Firebase at flutterflow.io on this as one of the admins, administrators, okay, of my project. And then since I'm connecting it to FlutterFlow, it can now manipulate what is happening here. I can now click on connect, and it tell me success. Now after I'm done with that, the next thing I need to do is click to generate configuration files. The configuration files are basically small tiny bits of files that your application needs to work. So I'm going to go ahead and click on generate files, okay, and I'll wait for a couple of seconds, and then it will generate the configuration files for me to use in my project. Okay, so we're waiting for this to finish up. Then from there we can go ahead and continue building our app. I'm going to close this previous menu. It's going to come up very soon, and then we can deploy and start. All right, I hope you're enjoying this particular course so far. Please, if you're enjoying it so much like I am enjoying teaching it, just click on the subscribe button and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also share it with your friends who want to learn how to build apps without coding, and then also like this video as well. Thank you. Okay, so we have gotten these. The next thing we need to do is it says here Firebase storage not deployed. We will need to do all of these at once so that we will not have errors that we find it difficult to debug. So let's come back here to Firebase, and you click on build, and we need to connect. The first thing we should do is authentication. So I'll click on authentication. I want to add the way users will be able to authenticate into our application. So we have get started. I'm clicking get started, and it will show me all of this. That means our users can get authenticated using all of these means. Okay, so we want to use email and password for now. I'll click to turn it on, and I'll click to save. Now that I've gotten that, the next thing I need to do is click on build again and click on Firestore database. Now it's going to load up. Then I need to just go ahead and then create the Firestore database. All right. So now I'm going to just go ahead and click on create database. It picks a location here. I can leave it like that, or I can change it. Okay. Then I will click on next. It will ask me to set the security rules basically. for my project. I can say start in production mode, or I can say start in test mode. I choose to say start in production mode. Create. Then from there I clicked on create. Now with these, I will have my Firestore database ready. The next thing I need to do, which is the final thing for the setup on Firebase, is to turn on my storage. Okay. Then after that, we will start focusing on just the FlutterFlow dashboard. Let's click on build and scroll down till we find storage. We click it. We are going to also, get started with it. I'll click on that, start in production mode as well. Next, and done. Wait for a while, and then this will be completed. So when that is done, we will successfully just click on this and say, it says, are you sure you want to deploy these storage rules? Now, if at all you tried doing this before you did all of what we did in Firebase, it will give you errors. So you need to do what we did here first before you come here to click on deploy, and then click on yes. It will load for a while and it will tell us success. All right, so yeah, it's deployed because what we were doing here is also deployed successfully. All right, now that we are done with this, okay, the next thing we need to do is we will come back to our project. And let me see, Firebase. Okay, there's something I didn't do. So here, you're going to click on this Firebase wizard setup. Just click on it. When you click on it, it will show you some other things. So here are the basic stuff. These have already been checked. So just click on next step, and then it'll bring you here. So you have to click to allow the users to log into your application. So what I need to do here is I'm going to just go ahead and click to enable authentication. I'll click to create, I'll turn this on. That means it should automatically add a users collection to Firestore for logged in users. That means it's creating a table for me. Now, the next thing that I need to do is I'll click on start building. And if I come here, this is where we have Firestore. If I come here, I'll see my users collection already created for me. Other collections, you need to create them yourself. Okay. Then we have some errors here. So it's telling me that the project has authentication, but entry page is not specified. Project has authentication, but logged in page is not specified. Now, this is how we're going to fix this. If you come over here, all right, if you come over here on the, let's say the pages, right, we have the one called splash screen. In fact, let's come here to the main screen. So we have the one here called splash. After this is the sign in screen. So you can click it to sign in. And then automatically just brings you here and all of that. So what we can do here is going to be quite simple. We need to, what I would normally do is instead of separating these two parts, I would just bring the two of them into the same screen. All right. Yeah, I would just like bring the two of them into the same screen. You put here, click on continue, and then here password. Well, we can always use it the way it was. I think we can use it like that. But that means I will show you how to do some semi-complex things. All right. So this is the first part. This was create account. Sign. Okay, this is sign in. This is create account. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to come to splash screen. Where is it? We're going to look for our screen, the one called splash. I think we called it splash. We can search for, okay, this is it, splash screen. So now the way it's going to work is that when the user opens the application, it's going to take the user here first, and then there's going to be like a delay of maybe 3 seconds, and then the user will now be taken to the page where they need to, create an account. So we can bring them here first. In fact, let's bring them here first to sign in. And then we will now show them all of these other things. So let's go ahead and do that. For us to create a scenario where the user will be delayed for like 3 seconds here before they are taken to the next page, we have to come here. Let's go to the widget tree and click on the scaffold, this one. And then now we want to start adding actions to it. So we'll click to add an action here. An action is more like just like its name, action, like what do you want to happen when a user comes to this screen, for instance. Let's say if at all we're trying to add it on a button, that simply means what do you want to happen, what do you want to see, all right? What do you want to see in your application? What experience do you want your user to have when they tap on the button, all right? Okay, so the next thing we need to do here is I will go ahead and click to open the action flow editor. Okay, I'm clicking to open the action flow editor, and I will add an action. The action is going to be called wait delay, and we want it to wait for 3 seconds. All right, so 3000 milliseconds is 3 seconds. And then after that, we want to click here to navigate the user to, let's go back here and check where we want to take the user to. So I want to take the user to this screen, sign in. So I think we'll have a screen called sign in. Yes, this one. So let me go back to my splash screen, and I'm going to click to open the action flow editor. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click this to add another action. That means after there is a wait delay action, what should happen next? And so now this is where I now add another action, and it's going to be a navigate to kind of action. This is it. So it's asking me, where do you want the user to navigate to? I want the user to be navigated to sign in. All right. You can add a transition if you want. You can say fade instant. I want it to be instant. All right. And then it's going to take the user to sign in. And now if you come to the storyboard, at first there were no connections. We're supposed to have something here in our storyboard. Reset the positions of all your pages and components in there. Okay. Error. Unable to initialize storyboard. Please ensure you have set the initial page on the app details. Okay, yeah, this is the problem. Now let's go and set this particular the initial pages. So I'm gonna click here. This on the arrow is gonna bring me here. The initial page is the entry page. So I'm gonna click here and say initial page is gonna be splash screen. That's fixed now. Then the logged in page is going to be home. All right, this is gonna be the logged in page. So now we've fixed those two errors. If we come back here to the storyboard, we can now successfully see, the connections. So the storyboard is just supposed to show you the connections. I think that crashed somehow. Okay, so yeah, this is my storyboard. All right. So this after this screen is this screen. So I'm gonna come back to my widget tree, okay, well, my pages, and I'll go to my sign in screen, and this is where the user types in their email address, and then the next thing the user is going to do after typing in their email address is to click on continue, for instance. And then well, this is just the UI that we have. Normally you're supposed to just type in your email address and password and click on sign in, but here, according to design, after typing in this, you click, it takes you to another screen, then you put your password and click to sign in, right? So let's do it like that. So I'll click on what I need to do is in this text field now, and I'm going to change it to email address. I'm going to say email sign in. All right, sign in. And then here for this one, before we continue, let me add an action to this create one. So if you come to this particular page and you don't have an account, you need to click create one to take you there. So for us to do that, we need to click to add an action, and here I'm adding an action. It's going to still be navigate to kind of action, right? So I'll click on this, and then we go to create account. Okay, then I will just make it instant. Now that we have that, the next thing we need to do is I will just go ahead and let me see what we're going to do. Create an account. That's done. We will settle all of this later on. In fact, we can do it just now at once. So I'll click on these, click on add action, and we will go to, this is for you to sign in with Apple. So I'll go to backend database. I will say Firebase authentication, login. All right. Then the platform is going to be Apple. That's it. Then for this one, in fact, let's click here and copy this action. I'm going to click on this one for Google, and then I'll paste it, and then I will change this to Google. That's all. Then for this one, I will click here and then I'll paste it, and I'll change this to Facebook. All right. Now that we have that, let's just go ahead and then, create what is supposed to happen when the user clicks on email sign in, like types in a value here. Now, when the user types in a value here, we need to click on continue, right? Now, when we click on continue, the information that is being stored here needs to be saved somewhere. It's not saved into the database yet, the Firebase database. We want it to be saved in something called app state. All right. So app state is like a temporary storage system for your application. All right. It's not going into Firebase. How can you assess that? Let me see. Okay, so it says here, when using Facebook login, you must provide the Facebook app name and app ID and all of that. Okay, so we are not going to go into so much of all of these. So let's just click here and just take this off for now. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create an app state, like a temporary storage space where we can store information. Now we can store that information in something called, let me come here. We can store the information in a page state. We can store it in an app state. I would prefer app state so that it can be available app wide. If it was just page state, the information can be stored just in this page. You will see that eventually. Okay, so I will come here to app state. This is where we have the app values, right? And it says here, set up your elements that you want to keep stored in your local device. I'll click here. I want to call these email sign-in value, just emails. Okay, maybe email sign-in, all right? And it's going to be a string because the email is just like a string of different characters, so it's a string. So I'm gonna say I want it to be persisted. That means if the page refreshes, all right, if the application refreshes, I still want it to be stored in the app, all right, until something changes it. So I will say persisted, and then I'll click on create. Now that I have done that, the next thing I'm gonna do quickly is I'm going to go ahead and add an action to this button that says continue. So I will click here to add an action. The action I'm going to be adding is going to be under state management, and it's going to be update the app state, because I want to put a value inside that app state variable I just created. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to add to select the field. That's the name of the app state. I'll click here, and then this is the only one we have, and it's going to ask me select your update type. So how do you want to do it? I want it to be a set value kind of update type, and it's not asking me what value do you want to put there. I'm going to click here and go to widget state, and I'm going to say whatever is being typed inside this text field, that is going to be the value of what I want to store inside the app state variable. Okay. Now, after I've done this, I want to go ahead and add another action that is going to take the user to another page. So where is that? That's sign in continue. So I'm going to click here to open the action flow editor. I'll click here to add another action and say navigate to sign in continue. All right. So I'm going to look for sign in continue, change this to instant, and that's it. All right. So now I can go to sign in continue. This is sign in continue. Now it needs me to put the password. I will rename the text field here. I'll just come here and say password sign in. Okay. That's it. And then I will click here. I can change this to, you can say continue, you can just say sign in. I can change this to sign in. All right, so sign in. Okay. Now that we are here, we're doing a pretty good job actually. So now that we are here, the user is going to click on this to sign in. And how can the user sign in? We're going to add an action here to say add action. And we're going to go to backend database kind of action. We're going to see Firebase authentication because we're using Firebase. And then we will click on login, which is sign in. And I'm going to say we're using email as the authentication provider. And now it's asking us, where is the email field? So Where is it? For some reason, this is not allowing me. Okay, this is not allowing me select somewhere else. Okay, so it's not seeing a text field here, so it doesn't allow me to select anything. But I can click on this to fix it from variable. So I'll click to set it from variable, and I'll click here and I'll go to app state, which is where our variable is, and I pick email sign-in. That's it. Now, when I have authenticated my user, I will be taken into the part that I said that the user should be taken in when they log in, which is home. Now let's go and see how our home looks like. If we come here to our home, this is how our home looks like. The home page looks like. Okay, so now we can just go ahead and then, test our application. So I'm going to click on this to, launch the debug mode of our application so we can test it. So I'm like testing it right now, like running it. After a while, this will be completed, and then we can now go ahead and see it. All right, so while we are waiting for that to run, let's look at what is happening on the storyboard. Now this is the storyboard. I can minimize it a bit so you can see it. Now look at how it's working. The user comes to this particular screen, waits for 3 seconds, and then is being taken to this particular screen. And when they click on continue, it takes the user here. And when they click on sign in, it takes them here. If they click on continue with Apple, it takes the user straight to here. If they click on continue with Google, it takes the user straight to here. And if they click on create account, it takes the user to the page where they can create an account. All right. Meanwhile, we haven't done, created the part where the user can create an account. So let's quickly do that. So if we come to create an account here, right? We want the user to type in their first name here. So let's change this to first name. First name. Then this one, we are renaming the text field to last name. And then here we're renaming these to email create. Let's just call it email create. Then this one is going to be password create. Okay. And then continue. So before we continue fixing this page, let's click on this reset and add an action. So this is going to be for forgot password. I think we have that somewhere here. Yes. So we're going to add an action here, and we're going to say navigate to forgot password. This is it. Change the transition type to instant. That's fine. Now we can actually just copy. Let's copy this quickly. Copy the action and take it to sign in. Let's find sign in because we have something like that. Wait, where did I see that? Okay, no, not here actually. We have it in the second one. Here, password, forgot password. So I click on this, click on add an action and paste it. Fine. Now let's go back to create account and then let's set up these. So what we're going to do is quite easy and simple to do. We're going to click on continue and we will click here to add an action and then add action, and then we will say backend database, and here is going to be Firebase authentication create account. Now we can go ahead and click on the authentication provider, which is going to be the email. And then the next thing we need to do is pick our, email field. So this is going to be email create. Then the password field is going to be password create. All right. We don't have confirmed password field, so no problems. If you have it, you can just select it. Then for this other one, we have the name, the first name and the last name. And if we come here to Firestore, all right, we'll see here display name. We don't have the field for first name and last name, so we can easily just add it. First underscore name. We just say it's gonna be a string. This is like the data type. This is the variable name, all right, which is also called the field name. Then I'll click on this. Then this is gonna be last name, and it's also gonna be string, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna click there to check it. Now I've added the two fields here. The next thing I need to do is come back here and say add fields. Okay, so add field, not the email. I'll click here and then I'll check first name. It's asking me this field you want to add to the database. Is it going to be a specific value? Do you just want to write it here? I say no. I want to write it. I want it to come from a variable. So I click on this and then click on this, click on widget state, because all of the widgets have like a state, which is the, let's say, the spirit, the soul of the widget. And that's basically where you have the content of what the user had typed inside. So I'm going to click here and say widget state. We're going to say first name. Exactly. So that means whatever the user types in here is what will be saved in this variable, like will become the value in this field called first name in the database. And then for this one, we add another field. It's going to be the second one called last name. And we're going to say from variable, we're going to click here and say last name. Now that way we have successfully done that. When the user has clicked on continue, they will be taken to the page called home by default, because this is the page that they should go to when they've logged into the application. So now let's go ahead and then just reload our test mode. Let's come here and click on instant reload to load the latest backend functionality that we've added to our application. In fact, if you come back here and come to your storyboard, you see the storyboard has changed too. Now we have some extra complexity leading to this particular screen called home. Now if we come here and just wait for a couple of seconds, we will see the screen of our application, and then we can now just test it. So this particular part is just for you to understand how to handle authentication with Firebase. All right, authentication with Firebase. Now we can always use another kind of storage system called Superbase, but in this particular course we're just dealing with Firebase. So I'm gonna come here. You see, after just about 3 seconds it disappeared, and then now we see this. The reason why we have this black screen, black background, is because of something called the dark mode. If you come here to the theme settings and you come to theme typography, right? No, not this one, colors. If you come to colors, you will see dark mode is turned on. You can turn it off actually, but let's leave it there. We can just click on this to have the light mode, and then we can see our application properly. Okay, so all right, so now we have this well, it's still showing this dark mode, but it's okay. So I can actually just type some things, but it's showing here white. Okay, we can always come back here and change that. Let's come here to where we have the sign in. This is sign in. If you click on the text field and scroll down, you see that the real text is supposed to be black, right? But for some reason, since we are currently in dark mode, it's just that we can turn it off actually. Let's turn it off for now. I'll click on here and come to colors and turn it off. And I'll come here and just do an instant reload. And with an instant reload, I will be able to see the application the way it's supposed to show. Okay. Now, just a few minutes left. We will wrap up the authentication part of the backend. So the next thing, okay, we're just waiting. It's gonna show up soon. Okay, here you go. This is our application. In 3 seconds, it's gonna show the next part. Beautiful. Now this is it. Now we have debug panels here. We'll talk about this eventually. So we have this. So you can type in sign in, for instance. I will just say Mr. David at gmail.com. I'll click on continue. It brings me here, and I will just type in gibberish basically. All right, and I will click to sign in. It will tell me error. The supplied authentication credential is incorrect. Malform or expired, because it can't see this thing in the database. It's not correct. So I can just I can go back, all right, and click on create one, because I don't have an account actually. So I'll click to create an account. Here I'll just say David. Now before we create an account, let's come here and show you how the Firestore database looks like. Now this is our Firestore database. Nothing is here, okay? Nothing is here. But as soon as we create the account that we're about doing, we're gonna have something. So I'm gonna come here and say at gmail.com, and then password, I'll just put in my password. 678. Okay, you can just click this to toggle the password, and then I'll click on continue. Now when it creates the account, it's going to take me to the next page, but for some reason it didn't take me to the next page. But while we have to go ahead and come here and just be sure of what the problem is. So I'm refreshing this to check whether a record has been created in Firebase. No record has been created in Firebase. Now this is going to be as a result of some security rules. Okay, so we're going to have to come here to settings. Sorry, we'll come here to Firestore, then click on this and scroll down. We'll see here that the Firestore rules was not deployed. That's why we can't have access to it. So I'll just click here and say deploy, and say deploy now. And then now it's deployed. I can just click on instant reload. And then after that, I will just start creating an account all over again. And with this time, it's going to, take us to the home page of our application, and we would have completed the authentication aspect of our e-commerce mobile app. Although, okay, we would not have completed because we need to create this one. All right, we need to create this one and then this one. Okay, so I think that will be it. So we have a couple of other things to actually finish up. That's okay. So now we have done this, and why do we have this blank white screen? Okay, so I'm going to try to do an instant reload. Let's see. Okay, it's showing me a white screen. So I don't know why it's showing me a white screen. I think it has taken me to some place that I shouldn't actually be. Okay, what I would do here is I didn't add a lot of things to our application like logout and all of that. It's showing me blank screen, which is my home page is not actually blank. My home page is not blank. Where is my home page? My home page is not blank. This is how my home page looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click to end the session, and then I will click to create a new session. All right. While we are creating this new session, I'm going to work on the other aspect of the app. So here is the forgot password side of our application. And what we need to do here is quite simple. We are going to go ahead and let me see. We're going to go ahead. Let's go to the forgot password. The user comes here. Let's add an action to this icon that takes the user back. So let's click here to add an action, and it's going to say navigate back. That's okay. So when the user types in something here, they'll click here to send them to send the user a link for them to reset their password. To send them to their email, send them a link in their email. So I'm going to click here to rename this. I'll say password. Okay. Sorry, not password, email. Okay, so I'll click on this, and I will say, let's add an action here real quick. It's going to be backend database, Firestore authentication. You see here, reset password. So when you click that, it's going to reset the password, but it needs the field for email. So it's going to collect the email value here and sends it a link. Sends the user a link for them to click in their email and then reset their password. Okay, so now we have done this. When the user clicks on this, it's supposed to take the user to this page that says we sent you an email to reset your password. So now we can click on this. I don't know what that page, I've forgotten how I called that. Okay, this is password reset, password notification. Let's click to add another action. Okay, and say navigate to reset password. Where is it? Reset password notification. Click this and say instant. That's it. All right, so we will have this reset password notification here. Then you can click to return to login. So let's click this to add an action here, that will navigate the user back to sign in. We call it sign in, so just sign in. We click here and make it instant navigation transition type. Okay, then that's about it. I think the next thing we need to do quickly is to, fix this particular part that says tell us about yourself. So here, let me see. I can't really tell. So let's say you signed in. Okay. Let's say you signed in. No, let's say you've created an account. You need to come here. So let's come back to where we have create account. Let's come here to create account. When the user clicks to create an account, let's click here. We're going to add another action to navigate the user to what did we call it? Let's look for, we're gonna have to look for the name of that screen. About info. Okay, so about info. All right, so let's come back here to create account and click here. We'll send the user to navigate to about info. We change it to instant transition type, and then now we can go to about info. So let's see here. This is the about info, and this is a button. So the user is going to click on this if he is a man, and click on this if it's a woman. So okay, it says here, who do you shop for? So you're shopping for a man or you're shopping for women. Okay, so now normally if you click on this, right, this should be the default button when you load the screen. When you click on this button should take in the color of this one. So this is where we are going to go back to creating something called, let me see, let me see what we can do. If I come over here, all right, this is the scaffold of our application, right? I want to create a page state. Okay, that means I want to create a state, a variable on this page where we can store an information inside. So I'll click on this and add the variable name of the page state. So it's going to be called man. All right, and I'm going to say the type is going to be a boolean because we want it to be true or false. So it's a boolean, and then I will say I'm just going to click to add another field. It's going to be called women. It's going to also be a boolean. Where is it? A boolean. All right, and then I'm going to click on confirm. So these are like the screens that the states that we have, the page states that we have. So I can just click to close them. Now let me see what is here. Lookup page statement is non-nullable but has no default. Okay, so let me come here. Initial value, let's just say initial value for this is true, and then initial value for this is actually false and it's not nullable. All right, so both of them can't really be empty, right, per se. So now let's go ahead and just check that. Okay, we can uncheck this. I think we still have the errors. Lookup page statement is non but has no default value set. Default value. Okay, actually we shouldn't have that error when I say that it is nullable. Let me see, why do we still have the error? Nullable. Okay, initial field value, the initial value for this state variable when the page loads. Okay, and then the error here was main is non-nullable but has no this. So that means it has to have one of these. Either it is nullable, okay, or it has a default value. So okay, so actually this is fine really, but I don't know why we're having this issue. It's not okay. Okay, this is false, right? Okay, why is it still, this is actually still false. This is true, this is false. Okay, so, okay, I have to confirm it. Yes, I have to confirm it. And so I think this is fine now. So we don't have that error anymore. So let's go ahead and then, set this up. We're going to be doing something very complex. It's not super complex. It's not supposed to be for this stage of, your app learning, but let's do it anyways. So here we want to go ahead and manipulate the color of this button based on the action the user does. So when the user clicks on this button, like loads this page, this is going to be automatically the color of this one, and this is going to be the color of this one. But when the user clicks on this color is going to change to this one. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. So if we go ahead and let's see, let's go ahead and just quickly do that. If the user goes ahead and clicks on okay, by default it's going to show men first, then maybe click on this. Let me copy this color code, and let's say the user clicks on this. We want to add an action. So we want to add an action that is going to say update state management. It's going to be a page state. Updating means store something inside it, like change the value of what is there. All right, so I'm going to say update page state, and it's going to be women. Okay, women is now going to be true. I'm going to set the value as true, and then simultaneously, of course, men, the value of the men boolean here will be set as false, because otherwise we will be having mixed up colors. So when this one, in every scenario, whenever this one is true, this one has to be false. Whenever this one is true, this one has to be false. So that's why we have to have it like this. Now that I have done that, I can just go ahead and click to copy this action and then add it to this particular one and just paste it. So when the user clicks on this, women is going to be false, and while men is going to be true, because this is one that I selected. And then we need to do something else. On page load, I'm going to clicking on the scaffold here. I'm going to add an action. I'm going to paste it. On page load, women is going to be false and men is going to be true. This is just based on the design, okay? All right. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to where we have the colors. I'm going to just try to copy this color, and I'm going to add a condition. So this is like a fixed color. It's not coming based on a variable. All right. So now we need to click on this to create a variable for it. So now here is where we're going to do, we're going to add a conditional value. And we will click here and say, go to page state. If the page state for man is true, that's what this means. Then paste this color, okay? But if it is not true, all right, then paste the alternate color. I'm gonna go get the real color. That's the color we have here. In fact, let's come back here to the UI design, so I can just copy this color, this one. I'm copying this color and I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, this is it. So I will just click on confirm. So if men is true, then show this, but if it is false, show this one. Okay, that's what we just did here. I'm gonna click here to copy this. All right, then I will go to this one and click to paste it in the women side. So I'm gonna come here to where we have the button color, fill color. I'm gonna click here and then I'll click on P to paste it, and then I'll click here to go change the value, the type of page state. It's going to be women. All right, so if women is true, okay, this is gonna be the color. If it is false, this is gonna be the color. So I'll confirm. Now we have done this for this, but observe, this one has a white, the text here has white, while this one has black. So we need to do the same thing to it. So if I come over here, this is where we have the color for the women's side. So I'll click on here and say paste. If the let's come here and change this to women. If women's page state is true, all right, the color is going to be white. Okay, it's true. But if it is false, it's going to be black. All right, because as it is right now, it is false, so it's black. The text, I mean. Okay, so I'll click on confirm. Then I can click here and copy this variable. I'll click on the man and click and paste it here. Then from here, I'll change this one to page state for men. And if men is true, it will be white, and or else it's gonna be black, like that. Confirm. So now that we have that, we have fixed this particular one. The next one is gonna be the age range. So we fixed the age range before. No, we didn't. Let's say this is going to be, let's come here and say age ranges. So we have, okay, so basically it's like 3 to 12. For this app, this is supposed to be for adults, right? So okay, so this is not really the correct age range thing that I would prefer to use. Okay, so we have, let's use this one. So 17 to 30. So let's come here and say 17 to 30. Then 31 to 45. We add another option, 31 to 45. Then this one we say above 45. So we can just say 45 to 64, right? Then here we can say 65 plus. Okay, so we have this now. Now let's come here to Firestore, and then we go to the users collection, and then here I'm going to say gender. I'm going to add another field called gender, and we're going to say it's going to be a string. Okay, so I'm going to say here, I'm going to check this, and then the next thing I'm going to do is age range. I'll say age range, age range. Okay, then I will say here this is going to be like a string, and then I check it. So now we can store it information now. So when the user clicks on this, we want to update the, okay, so this is age range. You click on man and you click on age range. We should have another button that says continue. Okay, see, this is a button, it says finish. So we didn't add it. So I'm going to come over here to sign in and just copy this. Let me just copy the button. I'll go to about info and come here to the column and paste this. Then I'll give it some padding of maybe 60. No, 300. So like this. Then I'm going to come here and remove the action. Let me delete all the action chain here. Okay, so this is going to, this says finish. So let's change this to finish. Okay, now so when the user clicks on this and click on finish, all right, we want the user to be taken to the home page. So I'm going to click to add an action here, and here what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be saying update. I'm going to go to backend database, Firestore. I'll say update document. So now we had already created a document in the user collection. So in this case, we're just updating it. So I'm going to click on here and I'll go to, it's asking me select the reference that you want to update. So I want to update something. So show me what I'm updating. Whose document am I updating? Because we're going to have a lot of users using this application. So whose document exactly? So I'm going to click here and say it is going to be the authenticated user, the person that just signed into, that creates an account just now. All right. So on this device. So now that's it. And it's going to ask me what fields do you want to update? I want to select the field called gender, and it's asking me the value source. I don't want it to be specific. I want it to be from variable, and I'm going to click here and go to my page state. All right, then Okay, so now this is gonna be a small challenge. Okay, so let's do like this. It's not really big challenge. We're gonna come here to the scaffold. We are going to create another page state called, let's create another page state. All right, it's going to be called gender. So yeah, these are all genders, yes, but we are basically using it to control the colors. But what is the real value of the gender that the user has selected? So I'm going to type here gender. I'm going to say here string. I'm going to say that it is, it shouldn't be nullable actually. Then I'm going to say confirm. Okay, like that. I have this. Okay, so then I can now click on this, and when I click on this is the gender. So now I can click on this now and say page state, then I'll go pick gender. So when the user clicks on this button, let's go add some extra actions to it. This was just to change the updates the page state, but now we want to store something inside. Okay, so we can just say add field, this one, and we want to set value to what? We're gonna call this men. All right. Okay, we called that stuff, well, we call it gender. We should have just specified more. Shopping for who, something like that. So men. Then for this one is going to be, we're gonna click here to add an extra action to it. We select this and we say set value. We're gonna say women. Okay, like that. So here we can click to finish, and then we've already stored this. The next thing we need to store is going to be another field called age range. So we'll click here and say age range. It's going to be a from variable value, and we will click here and go to widget state, and it's going to be the value of the drop down. Okay, because this is a drop down, we can come here and rename it and say age underscore range. Okay, so like this now we have actually almost finished what we've been working on for the past almost 1 hour. So we will click on here to finish, and then when the user is finished doing this, we want to navigate the user to where? To the home page. So I'm adding another action, navigate the user to where? To home, and we want it to be instant. That's it. So now we have done this. All we just need to do is let me see, let's close this, and let's just run an instant reload, one instant reload, and then we check what we have done. So if at all you've already reached this particular point in the tutorial, just please like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel if at all you haven't done so already, because here you get to learn how to build mobile and web applications without writing codes using FlutterFlow and other no-code instruments. Okay, so we're waiting for this to show us the application that we've built, of course, and then we can just test through it. So this is it. For some reason I still have this blank screen. Email sign in. I don't know. Let's go back to Firebase. Let me reload this. Okay, there is no user created, and I'm still seeing this white screen. I'm still seeing this white screen for some reason. I don't know why we have this white screen. Or the very first screen we're supposed to see when the user loads up is this splash screen. Then after that, we're supposed to be taken somewhere else. But for some reason, we're seeing this. Now this is going to be the very first error that we're going to have to debug. Authenticated user is logged in. Oh, is user logged in? True. It's showing here that the user is logged in. Okay, that means if we come over here, let's go to authentication, we see that there's a user here. So let me go over here and just delete the account. All right, I deleted that account, and I'm gonna do an instant reload. We shouldn't have a user in the app. Okay, so now we have the application loading for us again, And now we are going to have to create an account. Create one. I'm going to say David Orog, then Mr. David Orog at gmail.com, my password, and I'll click to continue. When I click to continue, it brings me here. So by default, this shows first. If I click this, it switches. You see? It switches. This is the beautiful thing about FlutterFlow. Okay, and then also if you observe here, the gender's value is also changing. That is how to use the debug panel. If I click here, it's now women. If I click here, it's now men. All right, and even this is also changing. You see? And then for the age range, I'm gonna select this. Okay, this is 31 to 35. You see, it also changes here. Then I can now go ahead and click on finish. If I click on finish, it's gonna take me here to the home page. Now for some reason this home page is not showing with its colors. I don't know why. So let's come here to the home page and let me see what's happening to this home page. It has a stack here. I don't know why the home page is actually not showing everything. Okay, I really don't know why it's not showing everything that we have here. It says here it's currently at home, but everything here is like a button. I don't really know why it's not showing. Okay, this is like an error that we're going to have to fix in the second part of our tutorial. So but at least we have moved from moved from where we were before, creating an account and then moving it, because for some reason here we have like a small challenge which we will fix in the next part. You get to learn debugging, of course, which is a fun part of application development. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this particular tutorial. We will see in the next part. See you soon.